Whether you're married or single or poly or ace, or hanging out with swingers back at your place, listen to us as we give no fuck on Tinder and Bumble and plenty of yucks, trying and having no luck, because we all know dating kinda sucks. Sarah and Adam are two of a kind. He says stupid shit and she doesn't mind. They're not doing this show to make any buck. Life as a chicken whose feathers they pluck. Why does it work? Well, here is the crux. They both know dating kinda sucks. Dating kinda sucks.
Hi, I'm Adam Heath Avitable.
And I'm Sarah.
This is the DKS podcast, a podcast about love, sex, culture, and society. This week, we'll be talking about the Facebook group, Are We Dating the Same Guy? Is it inappropriate or indispensable? Enjoy the show.
And hey, YouTube, thanks so much for watching. Of course, be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. We'll continue to put out great content on here, but just show us some love if you haven't already.
All right, so it's the middle of May. It's almost time for me to leave Utah. It's almost time for us to have our meetup in Seattle. I mean, almost being a month and a half from now, but you know.
You're excited to leave Utah, it seems.
I'm very excited to leave Utah, but I'm also very excited to see who shows up in Seattle. And I think this is going to be a fun event.
We actually have a lot more listeners than I think we anticipated who are in the Seattle, Tacoma area. So no excuses, really.
That's right. No excuses. And just we're jumping right in with this because we're really excited about this event. It's going to be at the Graduate Hotel on June 29th. It's a Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. Well, it'll be like a little cocktail hour, and then we're going to record, a shortened episode, but a live episode. Probably take questions. So if you have questions, it'd be a great time to save those for then. And it's free, so there's no cost at all. We're going to have some merch to give away, and you can actually reserve your tickets. So you can look at the show notes for the link, and you can actually reserve it. We'd love for you to actually make a reservation because we want to make sure we know how many people are coming. So if you're going to come, bring a friend, bring 10 friends. We want to pack the fuck out of this place.
Absolutely. And I know last episode we didn't have a date. So to reiterate, that is Thursday, June 29th.
So did we not have a date last episode?
We didn't know. We didn't have a date. We were still in limbo on that. But now that we have a finalized date, we have a finalized landing page where you can sign up. And it's also important to note that a lot of the times these podcast events actually cost something, at least like $15 for a ticket. This is free, and it's going to have giveaways and, our live show and, cocktails for purchase or some kind of discounted other item. And it's for free. So if you're in the Seattle, Tacoma area and you can make it down Thursday once you finish work, we would greatly appreciate it. We're going to try to get as many people as we can out there. We've been cooped up at home, both of us. So we want to meet people and be around others and answer your questions and just have fun all together.
And we, it's over at 8, so you can go home and go to bed early. You don't have to like Sarah will, because Sarah will need to be, gone by like 8:30, so she's in bed, but by time, by your bedtime. So, don't worry, we're gonna let you get out of there early. We're not gonna keep you late unless you want to, because I'll be staying up late. But it'll be fun. It'll be like splitting up. It'll be Adam's group and Sarah's group. Sarah's group will go home and go to bed.
But we can all just respect if they want to leave early and be like, we get it. You're part of the Sarah crew. I might stay out a little later, but it's not going to be a 2 a.m.
45, maybe, not
45 minutes after. That's not
it
bad.
It won't be like the last meetup. You won't stay out that late. I guess that'll be that true.
That was a Friday night. That's true. Friday night, number one. And number two, you influenced all of my bad. Once I started drinking and I was like, let's just keep going. I was like, well, I guess this is happening. So
although I am pretty sure, by the way, that the strip club was your idea that time. I was like, oh, what should we do? And you're like, should we go to the strip club? And like, you actually brought it up because we were kind of far from there because we were all the way in Lake Mary, or not Lake Mary, Altamont and Maitland area. And so it wasn't exactly like nearby. And
it might have been me. Yeah. Cause let's keep this party going. Yeah.
I think that was great though. That was where your brain went.
I knew you'd say yes.
Oh, of course. 100%. And if you, by the way, if you don't live in Seattle and you are interested in trying to at least, meet one of us, I'm going to be hitting the road starting June
Adam's
2nd.
on tour.
Yes. I'm on tour by myself, just traveling a lot of places. for the next few months before I decide where I'm going to be living, which I'll talk about in a second, I think. But I'm going to be in places. I'm going to be in, let's see, I'm going to be in Bend, Oregon before we get to Seattle. So if you live in Bend, I'll be there. I'll be in Coeur d'Alene. I'll be in Denver. I'll be in Tulsa. I'll be in Memphis for almost a month. And then I'm going to be in the Nashville area, Knoxville, Baltimore as well. I think maybe Pittsburgh, and then I'll be kind of down in Charlotte for a little bit, and then Orlando. So if you live anywhere near all those areas, and you want to, find out when I'm going to be there, let me know, and reach out in some way through one of the many ways you can reach me, and meet up and have a drink or something.
Tickets go on sale May 19th at Ticketmaster.com. Meet up with Adam Heath.
Yes. Tickets include one drink and a hug and a photo.
I just see you reading your list of places.
I know, I've got my because Sarah made fun of me because I'm trying to plan out my trip. I also plan out how much my Airbnbs are going to cost, and when I know I have like money coming in, and so I can kind of plan all my budgeting. Sarah, being very retentive, has a wonderful Google sheet that has everything planned.
Retentive? I don't think that's the right. Organized is the right word.
Yes, organized. That's exactly what I meant. Organized. And she has all of her expenses. Every time she spends a penny, if she finds a penny on the sidewalk, there's a little spot where she can put. I found a penny on her spreadsheet to make sure she keeps it down to the penny. And so I was showing her my budget, which is 2 sheets of paper where I have it all in columns, and I've written
crumpled paper with
crumpled paper. Oh yeah,
mayo stains. And
it's just lines crossed out. It's terrible. That's what I'm using as my travel guide right now, is these sheets of paper.
I made him a new spreadsheet, so now he can track all of his expenses, and now he's on the right path to managing his finances. So I'm very happy about that. I don't know if he is.
No, it's actually very helpful. It's been very helpful to help me with budgeting, something that I've never been good at. And have not known what to do. I had no idea how to start, so that was good. But so I'll be all over the place. I'm leaving June 2nd from Utah, and I plan on hitting Florida sometime in, I think, end of October. So, and then I'll be in Florida for a little bit, and then I'm going to be moving somewhere, and like actually living
TBD.
somewhere. I know, TBD, but I have 2 options right now, and then I thought I'd talk about this for a second to see if anybody has any suggestions too. You can always give me your input, because I'm going to be kind of torn. There are these places that are offering money for you to live there if you work remotely, which I do, and you can apply. And if you get accepted into their program, then they will actually allow you. They will pay you like $10,000 to go live there for a year. One of these places is Tulsa, Oklahoma. And the other place is called the Remote Shoals of Alabama. It's 3 towns: Muscle Shoals, Florence, Alabama, and something else. I don't remember the third town. But Taylor, something like that, Hunter, I don't know. Anyways, and
Alabama, I don't know.
Alabama, yeah, it's up by the Tennessee River, right across the border from Tennessee. And there's also West Virginia is also doing it too. Anyways, I applied to the Alabama and Tulsa programs and other programs, but those 2 both interviewed me, and I've been tentatively accepted into Tulsa, and I'm 99% sure I'm going to get accepted into the Alabama one. And then I thought I would have a choice that I never thought I would have to make. Do I live in fucking Oklahoma, or do I live in fucking Alabama?
Alabama. Yeah.
Those are 2 places that I've never considered living. And but if someone wants to pay me to live there, and I can live anywhere, and it is actually relatively cheap to live in both of those places, then I might be living in one of those 2 places after my travels are done. But I need to hear from listeners if you have any suggestions or thoughts on what would be a better place: Tulsa, Oklahoma, or the Remote Shoals of Alabama, and why? Because I am making a pros and cons list, and I'll tell you, they're kind of balancing out right now, with just as many cons as pros. I will be honest, but I don't know. So yeah, so you can email me or even call hotline and leave and let us know, and let us know your thoughts.
You're like, I live in Florence, it sucks, or I live in Tulsa, it sucks, don't move here. I guess.
Or it's beautiful, or it's amazing, or here's why you would like it, or here's things you would like, or you should. It's a great strip club nearby. Whatever. Like I just want to know things that I might not be able to find out by Googling or pulling up Google Maps. So I'm gonna encourage you to call the DKS hotline if you have any thoughts on this at 407-519-0181 and help me decide where I'm gonna live.
You know which city I'm leaning towards, right?
Tulsa, I'm guessing.
I'm leaning towards Tulsa, middle of
Yeah.
the country, bigger
Yeah.
airport for travel. I think the infrastructure is probably going to be better than Muscle Shoals.
Yeah. Yeah. There's that's the pros that like there. And I think there's a bigger scene just in general, and I know there's Oklahoma has even a comedy festival, and I'm working on new material right now, so I want to start working on that. So there's advantages there. But then Alabama's like it's like a small little like kind of town near a college, so it's got like a bustling nightlife, and there's some positives there too. So I'm really kind of in this weird spot. It's on the water, which I really like. The fact that it's on the Tennessee River.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
that's
you
a
got to
hard
tour
decision.
both places and
I am.
decide.
So I'm going to be touring Tulsa in July on my way across the country, and then I'm going to try to, after Memphis, I think I'm going to try to dip down into the Shoals and check that area out. Hopefully, both of them will allow me. You like won't be like pushing me to make a decision. I can be like, let me check out both places first. But
It's a big decision to say I'm going to up and move whatever state I'm living in and move to this state, because I think for a lot of the programs too, they don't take residents from the state. They're looking for outside states to move to their state.
yes. And then I've also realized that I have no idea how I'm going to move my stuff from my storage unit to wherever it is.
Well, wouldn't you spend some of that $10,000 to move?
Well, right, but then I have a car, and my car does not have a tow hitch, so I can't tow anything behind it. It doesn't have a roof rack, so I can't put anything on top of it. So the alternative is to rent a truck and tow my car behind me.
Or you could hire movers to pack everything in a truck and then drive the truck.
I could do that. That might be a little. That might
It's
be
more
too
expensive.
Yeah. That's to see. I want to maximize the money that they're giving.
I get that.
Because they don't give it all at once either. They give a third of it or a little bit of it. Then most of it goes at the end. They give it to you when you make it. If you survive the whole year, it's like a haunted house, is what it is. It's like can you survive a year in Tulsa? If you do, we'll pay you $10,000. So.
Well, I'm excited because this is something I had looked into a couple years back and then kind of chatted with you about. So I like that you're taking.
Yeah, you got me into it. Yeah, because when you found out about it and you were like, "Oh yeah, this does this," and then I found a bunch of other places that do it too. But none of them were places they were like, I don't want to say worse than, because that sounds rude, but they were just like lower on my list than Alabama and Oklahoma, and I was just like, I didn't even bother applying. So
fair enough.
Yeah. So what's going on in your life?
Well, funny, way off topic question than what we were just talking about. How big do you think my boobs are?
How big do I think your boobs are?
What size bra do you think I wear? This is so.
Okay, that's interesting.
It's a weird question.
Yeah,
but
it is weird. It's weird.
Has a point.
I'm like, okay, now I'll just tell you what I'm doing, by the way. I'm just going back in my head.
You're not looking at me.
No, I'm thinking back in my head, like, okay, the times I've seen you like in a sports bra and things like that. I would say 34.
You could just get the
34C.
Really? Okay. So I've always been 34B for as long as I can remember. And so the reason I asked this is because I've been shopping a lot online to purchase stuff for summer trips and this Alaskan cruise. And I don't really have any bathing suits that I love my body in. And I think my ass has gotten bigger since like all my workout classes. And I'm just trying to find new bathing suits and things like that. So I ordered a bathing suit that's supposed to be really good, or like the company is supposed to be really great at matching sizes based off of like your butt. They have so many just bottom sizes, and it's like an M1 and a medium 2 has more coverage. So many sizes, and then customized, bra sizes and things like that. So I order a cup size B for this bathing suit, and it was like half of my boob size, half. So I like put this on in front of Roy, and I'm like, what size, like if this is a B,
right,
what size do you think I am? And he's like, I don't know. I was like, do you think I'm a D? And he's like, no way are you a D. He's like, I hate to break it to you, but you are not a D. And so he was like just staring at my boobs. He's like, I guess you're a C now. But now he this past week he's just been coming up to me going like, you're not a D, don't think you're a D, you haven't grown up to a D. And I'm like, I'm not trying to say I have a D cup size. I never thought I was a C. And this, I mean, every place has different sizing,
sure,
but I was just very surprised that these were like a minus A. They were just so small. It's like, is this a trading bra size for a B cup? I'm so confused.
I'm disappointed
by
that there's no pictures involved here of how it fit. I feel
it was so upsetting. I was just like, I'm like spewing out of this B cup, and all my other B size bras fit fine. So what the hell size am I?
This is a
But
bathing
yeah,
suit, right?
bathing suit.
So
Yeah.
I think spilling out of it's fine. I feel like that should be that should be part of a bathing suit. You know, you
But
got
my
a
whole
good butt
like
fit, and then
tit is out.
yeah.
Just
Is your nipple covered? That's all that matters.
barely.
That's all that matters. Just cover
But
the
like the
nips.
sides were out, and maybe my nipple was a little covered, but it was a bathing suit that looked like a bra. So if it doesn't fit right, it really looks like it doesn't fit
Yeah,
right.
I guess I could see that.
Yeah.
So this is how you found out. We know I it's weird to me. I think the bathing suits should like for women, especially bikinis, should all be you order a bottom size and you order a top size. It should never be like just a one size. You know, I feel like that'd be weird to do because everybody's different. I mean, everybody has just like different. Then you have to order two different bathing suits just to take the top from one and the bottom from the other, which is just stupid. But and I know women's sizes are never uniform and
They're
never
never
makes
consistent.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I'm just like really struggling with my body image right now a little bit. I think I lost weight post pandemic,
Yeah.
and now I've been working out and gaining weight, but not like it's just gaining muscle. So my body is fitting in clothes that I was totally like had more room in last year. And I'm like, damn, how big are my fucking hips now? How big? Like, it's great that I'm building a fucking dump truck, I guess, but like, how big, how big is my ass really going to get? And then I'm like, wait, my boobs have changed too. I'm not ready for this. So just a lot of changes in sizes where I'm just, I don't know. It's weird.
Interesting. Have you tried to make your butt clap yet? Have you gotten to that point you can clap?
No. Can you clap your ass cheeks?
I've never tried. Maybe. Who knows?
It's something I've tried in college.
You know how to twerk though. You already know how to twerk. You already have the ability to twerk. So I figured you might be able to make your ass clap. You might be a new technique. New I don't know. Try it in the bedroom.
I dated a guy in college who was big on trying to, there was a video circulating that there was a red Solo cup sat on some girl, like the top of her ass, and she was able to twerk her ass to get the cup to flip on her ass.
Yeah, right.
And he was like, "Can you do that?" No, I fucking can't do that. I don't have the skills to do that. But he was like, "I want to see you do it." I was like, "That's never going to happen." But I digress.
I don't feel like it's a digression. I feel like it all ties back into your conversation about your boobs that you started.
So random, yes.
So,
that's been the conversation in our household is you don't have D's, okay, Sarah?
Right.
You don't have D's. Like, okay.
So we know it's a C or slightly above a B now.
Maybe.
Now everybody knows what size your boobs are.
I don't give a shit. It's really not. I don't care. I didn't even know what size my boobs were apparently. So whatever.
I've heard that there was something I don't know what I was watching, but it was something where they were talking about getting properly sized, and that there are a lot of women out there that don't actually know their right size because they either got measured the wrong way when they were young and they just stuck with it, or their mom just like, oh, this is what size you are, and they just went with it and they never actually questioned it. And then they go to an actual place and get measured properly, and they find a bra that actually fits the way it's supposed to. And it's usually someone who's like really well endowed that just like, has never been able to find something comfortable, and they find something that actually fits properly, and they're like, holy shit, this is amazing. Like, and it's like life changing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Maybe I need that experience.
You need to go find a place that'll measure you properly and give you your exact measurements.
Well, I was looking up online, not on my work computer, but on my personal computer at work. By the way. At work, I'm looking up because I'm just so confused. I'm like, how do you determine your cup size? And so then I'm like, Roy walks in and I'm like literally measuring the side of my boob. He's like, "You're not a D." I'm like, "I'm not saying I'm a D. I'm trying to figure out how big. I just don't know. It's not something I think about very often because I barely ever wear a bra because I'm home and a lot of my clothing just doesn't require it. And two, all of my other bras that I have are they're like bandeau bras, or they're bras that don't have wire. So they're just not, or bralettes. So I just don't really need a specific size. It's just kind of like a small or a medium or whatever.
How fantastic would it be if you went and actually got sized and it turns out you are a D?
Bro, I'd lose my shit. I'd be like, shut the fuck up, bro. I am a D.
Go rub it in his face.
Think so. Yeah.
Literally.
Well, no, I mean, he literally put his face in my tits and was just like, "These don't feel like a D to me." I mean, that's how the household conversation has been.
Okay, all right, that's fantastic.
I mean, I should just grab his dick and be like, "This isn't how 9 inches feels," or what? I don't. I wouldn't do that though. I'm like, what's the equivalent, right?
Yeah, that's right. I know. I think that is kind of the equivalent, but you wouldn't do that.
Right. I mean, with his flaccid penis, maybe I'm like, where's your little guy? What's up? You know, maybe
little guy.
maybe I'd say something like that. I don't know. It'd have to come up organically in conversation. So now I'm going to try to figure out a way to work that in.
I think I would definitely try to do that. Well, so there we go.
That's what's new in our lives. Wow.
That's what's new in our lives. Yep. Meet up in Seattle, meet up with me somewhere, and Sarah's boobs. Sarah's boobs
Sounds
are
about
up,
right.
They're growing. Who knows what's going to happen?
I'm actually hitting like midlife puberty right now.
Something like
Is
that.
that a thing? Did you? Okay.
No.
You didn't hit like when you hit your 30s, you notice body changes or things like that. I feel like my body's changed a lot in the past couple of years, just in general. My face shape, I feel like, has changed, and I
never really paid attention. But I know that if you look at the picture of me when I was 24 and got married, my wedding photo versus how I look now, it's so even my face just looks so different. I feel like I looked older then than I do now, but I don't know what that is. So you've seen the wedding pictures. It looks very different. I don't know if
you look 45.
That I know. I looked 45 when I was 23, and it's crazy. Yeah.
Now you look like you're in your. I still think you look 40, but
but 40, in that range. Last I was somewhere, and it was either some guy was like, "Oh yeah, I'm 48 or something like that," and I looked at him, I was like, how the fuck is he 48? He looks like he's 100. Like this, just like some people do not age well, and I think I've been lucky so far. So
it's the beard too.
The beard
but
helps.
anyways, yeah,
that's true. Well, let's get into the next section of this episode, where we're going to take we have an email from a listener, which doesn't mean that you shouldn't be calling into the DKS hotline, because we still want you to call the hotline. Sarah, do you want to give them that number again?
That number is 407-519-0181. We'll switch it off. Next week when you call in, we'll use your voicemail. And this week we don't have one. Well, we do have a couple.
No, we have some in the queue, but this email came in before, and I wanted to make sure we got to it. So he had actually even said, I hope to hear this on the podcast, when he emailed us a couple weeks ago, or a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago.
We got you. We got you. Yeah.
Took a little while, but we're there now.
Yeah.
So you can call the hotline. We prefer that. It's nice to hear your voice. It changes it up from hearing our voices. But you can also email us at datingkindasuckspodcast@gmail.com if you have a question instead. So this email, do you want me to read this one?
Take it away. Okay. Take it away.
This email is from Andre. Andre says, "What's up, DKS? I'm a 21-year-old man, and I've been on dating websites for about 3 years, but no success on finding a relationship. I've tried Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, and Coffee Meets Bagel, and I've updated my photos and bio many times, but still no success. Usually it takes me like 20 likes to get one match, but it always ends with the girl ghosting me. After that, I tried doing cold approaches at hiking trails and dog parks to get a girl's around my age, a girl's Instagram or number, but 9 times out of 10, they say they don't have an Instagram or they already have a boyfriend. Even if I get a girl's number / Instagram, I highly doubt they're compatible or have good communication skills, so that might end the relationship. I'm basically calling it quits here and going to live alone. Do you have any thoughts on this?"
Immediate first thought is the cold approach. Just don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And I think that's why he's getting that response with the cold approach, because they're saying, "Oh, I don't have an Instagram." Which
Sarah's been approached on hiking trails, just random people. Remember that guy?
It freaks me out.
Yeah, it's even if it was very nice and it had nothing wrong, it's still kind of weird when you're especially hiking alone. And
you're like, I just wanted to do my own thing, and this person's approaching me. So I think the environment where he's doing cold approaches is not working. So I wouldn't continue that. And I think he just. Going back to the environment, I just think he needs to switch up his environment and be around people who are also single, and join either Facebook groups where they have like single meetups, which I know that might sound really lame, of like, I don't want to be part of that lame single meetup group. But I've actually gone on a couple of places before that had those, and it was like everyone was on the same wavelength, right? Like they were open to meeting new people, they were open to having those conversations and talking a little bit more about what you're looking for, versus when you go up randomly at on a hiking trail or just out at a coffee shop or whatever, they're not ready to have that conversation. They're not in that mindset to be like, oh, is he trying to pick me up, or what's this conversation going to be like? So I would say join some Facebook meetup groups, join like meetup.com, and see based on common interests and things like that, where you could meet up with people and hopefully have some more success in those types of environments.
Yeah, I think if you're going to try the cold approach, I agree. And beyond that too, just try doing some things that you enjoy doing. Like, do you like bowling? Do you like comic books? Do you like, whatever? Like there's going to be groups of people who do the same things in your town. If it's bowling, there's probably a league that's, people your age who like to bowl, and you can meet people that way. And meeting someone who has a common interest is a good way. Just to, you don't go there to specifically try, don't try hitting on everybody when you get there. Just go have fun doing what you enjoy doing, and you'll talk to people naturally as you do it. There's a lot of comic book places have like tabletop game night where they take out some new tabletop game and play, and you can get part of that. There's people that do trivia nights, there's bar things, there's there's like even beer places sometimes have like special tasting nights, things like that. You can go meet people that way. And that might be a good way to do it. And then I also wonder, what is it about your profile? I wish I'd kind of been able to see your profile to know. But getting one match out of every 20 like swipes is not I wouldn't say that's actually bad for most men. I feel like that's a pretty standard.
Yeah.
And yeah, so in that case, that's not bad. But what means why are they ghosting you? Is the conversation just die? And if the conversation dies, that's probably on both of your parts. So it's something to maybe you want to think about how you're communicating as well. Because if you're, their communication is important, you should really think about what is it that you're saying to them? Are you trying to push them off the app? Are you trying to get them to meet before they're ready, or are you actually talking about them about interesting things? Do you have things of interest to say? What are you talking about? And I think that's important as well.
I agree. And going back to just like the environment aspect, have you heard about like third spaces? The importance
No.
of a third space. So your first and second space are like where you go to work and then your home. And so having these third community spaces where you can feel one part of the community but meet other like-minded individuals. So I would say also focus on finding that third space, whether that is something like bowling or whatever. Instead of, trying to find a Facebook group or whatever, find your third space and you might meet other people in your community just casually.
Yeah, that's good. And like a dog park, I'm guessing. Hopefully, you have a dog. By the way, hopefully you're not going to a dog park without a dog and hitting on women, because
That's true.
that's super creepy. But if you have a dog, there's lots of dog things, and dog parks are a good place to go and spend some time. So the dog park can be a good way to do that. But maybe just talk to people instead of trying to hit them up for their Instagram or their phone number. How about you just chat about life, chat about things, chat about their dog, and then leave. And then next time you're there, if they happen to be there, then maybe you say, "Hey, would you like to get a drink sometime?" You let them see that you're
See 'em around.
You're going a regular, and you're someone that they become familiar with, rather than immediately trying to run to the phone number or Instagram.
Yeah. The goal should be just meeting people
Yeah.
and just finding common interests first before asking for the phone number, Instagram, whatever.
Exactly. So don't give up yet. Just maybe switch up your tactics a little bit, slow down a little bit as well, would be my suggestion.
You have a lot of time. There's no need to rush.
That's right. Yeah, that's very true. So thank
Well,
you,
great.
Andre, for the email. Yeah, appreciate that. And once again, you can call and leave a voicemail on our hotline at 407-519-0181. So you can pause the episode right now and go do that and leave us a voicemail right now. We're just
What your
waiting.
thoughts are? Muscle Shoals or
That's
Tulsa,
right.
Oklahoma?
You can tell us about that.
Yeah.
You can, any question about anything, talk about the meetup, whatever you'd like to do. And then we're going to take a quick break. So this is a perfect time for you to call. And when we come back, it's going to be time for What to See with Sarah G, where we're talking about Medellin, Colombia.
Medellin. Well, for this week's What to See with Sarah G, this week, let's explore Medellin, Colombia. I also pronounce it Medellin, Colombia. It's a mix of pronunciation. But like when I was there, I pronounced it Medellin. But now when I'm back home, I say Medellin.
How do the people who live there pronounce it?
Medellin.
Medellin?
But I feel like if you like speak Spanish, that's how it's pronounced. But then for English speakers, more people who are just saying Medellin.
Or they don't say Medellin.
It's not Medellin. Definitely don't pronounce.
I can see Americans calling it Medellin.
Well, yeah, that was the problem when I first visited. I was like, how do I pronounce this city's name? Because I'm going to sound dumb when I'm there. So it's either or. I pronounce it more Medellin, but I'll say Medellin for this. So anyways, Medellin, actually, I just fucked it up again. Medellin, I'm just going to go with that, is nicknamed the City of Eternal Spring and is actually the second largest city in Colombia after Bogota. So if you've happened to hear about the city before, it's probably because of Pablo Escobar and the drug trade that happened in the 1980s and 1990s. I think back in the day, this city was the world's most dangerous in the world. Oh, do you have anything to add?
No.
No, I mean, did you hear you were alive in the 80s?
Yes, I was alive in the 80s. Yes, I was 3 years old in 1980. Thank you. I have heard of Medellin. I've heard of Pablo Escobar. And I think the show Narcos is about it too. I'm pretty sure. So
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So, okay, you have some background there. Well, I was lucky enough last February to spend 30 days or so there, and I actually really fell in love with the culture and the community. And funny enough, multiple Uber drivers had thanked me for visiting the city and bringing more tourism to the area because they're just so proud of how the city has transformed over the last 20 years or so. And they really feel like the city is growing for the better. Medellin is actually becoming a big hub for digital nomads as well, which is part of the reason I was there. So very vibrant. And if you're planning on visiting the country of Colombia, this is definitely a city to check out. If you're looking for places to stay or potential areas to really just immerse yourself in the culture in, I would say the Poblado area is one of the most visited areas of the city. It's filled with tons of nightlife, tons of bars and restaurants, and lots of really high end or more on the higher end hotels that really fit any traveler's budget. As far as nightlife goes, I mean, people are partying till 2, 3 in the morning in Medellin, and just if you like to party, it's a good spot to be. If you're in the neighborhood, you can pretty much walk to everything. You just might have to walk up a few inclines to get to where you're going, which sucks at times, I will say. But I honestly felt safe walking around here at all hours of the day and pretty much at night as well. With the big party scene, just be smart in the area. Don't travel alone at night if you can help it, or just order an Uber if you're trying to get back to your hotel at a certain time. I personally didn't have any issues, but if you're worried about that, just be on the safe side and be smart about it. Outside of the Poblado area, there are a couple other cool areas that you can visit either through their metro system or their cable car system. I was actually really surprised when I visited. I had no idea that they had a metro that you could take pretty much to all of the other areas, and you weren't just like stuck with using either the taxis or the Ubers there. So take advantage of that when you're there. You can take the metro to a popular tourist destination, which is Comuna 13, and you can take a free walking tour there, which of course I always recommend free walking tours. But Comuna 13 is actually really important because it was one of the most dangerous areas in the city, and is also what made Medellin one of the most dangerous areas in the world. This is where all the drug trade happened, all of the violence. This is where the military came in to try to overturn Pablo Escobar. And there's so much history in the area that now the locals there have transformed it and filled it with graffiti and colorful buildings and artwork and just lots of partying in the streets of Comuna 13, which is really cool. But like my tour guide, I walked away from it. My tour guide lived in the area when he was a teenager, and his friends and himself had to make the decision of, do I pick up a gun and start shooting other people and joining the drug trade, or do I have to move out of this city and start a different life for myself, a better life for myself? And luckily my tour guide was able to move out of the area and start a new life for himself, and actually came back once it was safer. But a lot of his friends were killed because they participated in the drug trade back when they were teenagers. So it's just very unfortunate. But they tried to use the graffiti and a lot of the artwork in the area to inspire, to tell a story and to show how strong their community is today. So very, very, you could spend hours there, honestly, just walking around the streets and talking to people and throughout your tour. Definitely worth checking out there. Another area to catch some of the beautiful sunsets in Medellin is at Pueblito Paisa. It is a little bit touristy. It's a replica of an older town, but I still think it's worth checking out and just kind of walking in some of the touristy shops, taking photos in front of some of the cool buildings that they have there and catching the sunset. Now for thrill seekers out there, there are a lot of things you can do. And one of the things I did that I don't think I'll ever do again, but you definitely can do here, is paragliding. If you're going to do it, take some Dramamine beforehand. I left a little nauseous and was messed up the rest of the day, but the area is really known for a lot of their paragliding. There are a couple companies that you'll go up to the top of the mountain and just paraglide around and have beautiful views. Don't drink beforehand, but you can go paragliding.
Were you, I'm assuming you weren't paragliding alone, right?
I mean, I had someone with, so yeah, I had the tour person who was, directing me throughout the thing, but it's just me and the guy who knows how to work the ropes and fly me around.
And I guess I wouldn't have thought about it being nauseous, since I always think of that being on the ocean, but I guess in the air, maybe
Well, parasailing parasailing, you're being tied with the boat.
Right, right.
I mean, paragliding, it's all based off. I mean, it's wind for both of them, but if the wind catches, you're screwed and you're going one way. I mean, they're going to try their best to correct it back, but I was incredibly nauseous, and they had buckets and trash cans down once you landed, and people were throwing up. So,
did you have video of you paragliding? I don't think I ever saw video of you.
It's not of, I mean, like they give you a GoPro when you're in the air. So I was, I GoPro'd myself and like underneath and everything. And I have that full video. And then I have some photos of me landing and taking off. And yeah. That's cool. But honestly, I was too nauseous after the fact to really watch that video again. I was like, I can't, so I have it, but yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay. And then another thrill seeking thing, if you're like explosives, then you have to play the game Tejo. If you've seen the movie Encanto, there's a little scene where they're playing it in like an alley, not an alleyway, but like one of the streets. And it's actually a sport that's played in Colombia. It's like, I don't think it's a national sport, but the sport that was created in Colombia. And it's kind of like cornhole, but you're throwing rocks at gunpowder, and then you get points based on if that explodes. So if you hit the Tejo is this little triangular piece of, it looks like a piece of paper, but it's filled with gunpowder. And when you hit that, then it explodes. But it's kind of a drinking game as well. So explosives, drinking game, sure. But you can have a lot of fun there. I have a local tour guide who hooked us up. So if you're ever interested in playing Tejo in Medellin, let me know. I got the guy for you. And then last but not least is to take the cable cars up to Parque Arve. The cable car experience is pretty cool on its own, but once you get to the park, there's a really cool visitor center and the trails that you can either hike on or you can take a horse through, which is really cool. So that's all that you can do in Medellin. But if you're looking for, because there's a lot of other jumping off points, you can go to Salento to see the world's tallest palm trees in the world. I think that's like a 3-hour drive from Medellin. If you're looking for something a little closer, there's also Guatapé. And that city is known for colorful buildings and man-made water reservoirs that has, all of these water sports and activities. And also a giant rock that you can climb over 600 steps for incredible views of all the waterways that they built. So lots of options in Colombia. Had a great time there. Would definitely go back.
Usually you have quite a bit to say about the food, and you didn't mention the food at all here. Did you like the food in Colombia?
You know what? I love the food in Colombia. That's a good point. And I didn't mention, I ate at so many amazing places.
So you didn't mention like a
I didn't mention any
thing.
place to eat. No. I did at the end up eating like the same 3 restaurants in the Poblado area, but I really think you can't go, like every meal I had was pretty much amazing, whether it was street tacos or empanadas or even just breakfast at a random breakfast spot or cafe, and coffee was obviously good too. I never had a bad meal when I was there.
So it wasn't like overly spicy or things like that. That's what I always worry about. I think in any type of like Latin American, South American, Central American, I'm always like, it's gonna be spicy.
No, I didn't really have an issue with that at all. I mean, you can obviously order a burger and fries still too. I mean, you don't have to get tacos or enchiladas or whatever, but they had a good mix of everything, and it was really big, actually surprisingly really big on gin offerings, like gin drinks when I was there. Maybe it was also the people I was traveling with that we all ordered a lot of gin, but I just noticed they had a lot more specialty drinks with gin than typical restaurants back in the US.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's what to see in Medellin, Colombia, or Medellin, Colombia.
And maybe there'll be you can do a whole other one sometime where it's like what to eat in Medellin. You can just do a whole other segment sometime where all the
I probably have 20 restaurants. That's the problem is it's really hard to narrow down, especially there, of the best places to eat and drink.
I can imagine.
And bars, but and you can eat big ants. They have people walking around with signs to eat big ants, like massive
giant ants. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I didn't try one, but it's like interesting food that you wouldn't eat anywhere else at night. Like the nightlife area, they had a bunch of people that would just be selling these giant ants, and they're
like toasted. I'm guessing like barely just kind of cooked. Yeah. I've had toasted ants before. They weren't. I mean, they were big, like maybe the size of like your fingernail, a little bigger than that, and they were they're crunchy. They taste kind of like peanuts, but then you'd get the carapace and the legs caught in your teeth, and that was such a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I don't think.
I mean, otherwise they tasted good. It was just then like trying to pick all the shit out of your teeth was always the worst.
Yeah, I had grasshoppers before, which was, I mean, they're bigger than ants, so I don't know. Huh. When you're there, try it, I guess.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you very much. That was What to See with Sarah G. And when we get back, we're going to dive into the topic of talking about the Facebook group, Are We Dating the Same Guy? And whether or not that's a good group or something you should stay away from. We'll be right back. So, Sarah, do you remember the whole thing with West Elm Caleb from like a year or two ago?
I do remember that. And I also remember feeling really bad for West Elm's social media manager, whoever that was, because everyone was tagging West Elm trying to get him fired for all of his shit behavior.
Right, right. You want to recap that for our
I
audience?
mean,
Maybe people who
basically,
didn't know what it was?
yeah, basically, West Elm Caleb was dating a bunch of girls, and the girls got together and like, I was dating a guy named Caleb who worked at West Elm. Wait, I went on a date with a guy named Caleb who worked at West Elm, and then it just became West Elm Caleb.
Yeah,
Unfortunate to
I
the
feel
brand,
like
but
one of them she just posted a TikTok about a date that she went on with this guy, and I think she said his name was Caleb and he worked at West Elm, and I think that was the extent of it. And she was in, I think, New York, and she was just talking about like just the date. There was something about the date that made her want to do a TikTok, and then someone else saw it and said that she went out with the same guy, or she thought it was the same guy. So then they started communicating and realized it was. And then the more people that saw her video, it just kept blowing up with more women having these interactions with him. This guy was like talking to what 90% of the women in New York City. It felt like it was insane.
I mean, the TikTok reach was really focused on that New York area when it was sending, more numbers out, and
yeah. So it just became this huge thing, and then women just were all comparing notes and realizing. And I think he was he had some issues. He wasn't exactly a nice guy to most of these women, and a lot of ghosting and things like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after that happened, apparently someone who saw this happen, either, I don't know if they were involved in this or not, started a Facebook group called Are We Dating the Same Guy? With the idea that this shouldn't happen. Like this type of thing, like, it's okay to casually date. Like there's nothing wrong with casually dating, but like there should be a way to maybe check and see if, if the guy who says that he's dedicated to you, or he wants to date you exclusively, is saying that to 45 other women at the same time.
It's like John Tucker Must Die. Did you ever see that movie?
I did, but I don't remember anything about it.
It's a similar situation. It was just like four girls were all dating the same guy, but he was running in different circles, so they never figured it out. And then one girl noticed it from the outside looking in, noticed it and was like, oh my God, he's dating all these girls. And yeah, similar. I mean, he
and there was
copied the playbook.
Wasn't there another one? It wasn't West Elm Caleb. It was like a guy who was like a cop, who was like in Indiana and was dating, like married with a kid, and then found out somehow she was posting pictures of her husband and her family, and someone was like, that's my boyfriend. And like it turned out that he was traveling a lot, and so like she dated him in Chicago, and like, but he was like in 6 cities or something like that, and had 2 families, and like, yeah, it was crazy. Like I just,
getting away from it because they're in different social circles that they'll never meet each other. It's fine. I can get away with it.
Well, now TikTok brought them all together.
Well, and honestly, thank God. How else were people going to know that they were dating a scumbag the entire time?
Well, it makes you realize too that this probably happens all the time. And in the like 1950s and 60s, when especially like you have like the traveling salesmen and men who traveled for work a lot, how many of them might have had the full-on second families that the other people never knew about, and they would go visit their one and then disappear for 2 weeks, and basically just have 2 different families, and they would find out when the guy died years later, and all of a sudden had multiple heirs and things like that. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy. It's funny too, because I feel like men in general, they don't want the relationships always. They're just trying to get laid. But then somehow they manage to start these relationships and these families, because then they like the idea of being taken care of. They don't want to have to take care of themselves. So they can just set up these little like enclaves where someone's there to take care of them.
They have a hub to go back to.
Basically, they have a hub. So, yeah. So we started. So this group started, Are We Dating the Same Guy? On Facebook. Started in New York, and now there's franchises everywhere. Like you're in Seattle, I'm sure there's a Seattle one. Mm-hmm. There's probably a Portland one. I don't know. It's like Craigslist, basically, where you can just pull up your city, and there's probably one exclusively for women. No men are allowed in. And like I hate that, only because more than anything,
you want to see the drama.
I want to see the drama. I want to watch. I just want to see what's happening, just for my own entertainment purposes. But women post are you in Are you into? Did you join that group? I know you're not on
No,
Facebook
I
at all,
mean,
so
that's the problem is I'm not on Facebook at all.
yeah.
So there's really not a point of me being in those groups. But I do see, even though I'm not in those groups, I do see a lot of TikToks with similar content of saying, women, like recently this week it was women of Seattle, if you're dating this guy, just know he has a wife, he has kids, he's also dating these 3 other girls who have also stepped forward, so be on the lookout, swipe left, don't interact with him. So people are posting like warning videos to let other women know, don't engage with these shitty men because it's just going to hurt you in the long run, so
Right,
better to be
right.
prepared in the front end.
Yeah, and I agree. So now these groups, if you're not in, so anybody who's not in it, I'm not in it either. But from what I know, is that women will post a photo of a guy and just say, "Are we dating the same guy?" Like, is there
Simple.
any
Yeah.
gossip, anything anybody can tell me? I just matched with them, or we just went out, or he's my husband, or whatever. And then people will post things like, "Oh, you got to DM me," or "He did
Hmm.
this," and they're very strict rules. They can't say negative things about him. I think they can, or they have to be very careful in how they say it. They
Or they'll
can't
get
dox
kicked out.
him. Yeah, or they get kicked out. No, they can't identify him. Like there's no
He
doxing
works
or
here.
attacking. Yeah,
Yeah.
can't say shit like that. But it does allow women to post and see if maybe this person that they're dating or married to is playing around in their town.
Hmm. So I guess what are the limits if you post, say you have been dating a guy casually for a month or so and you're trying to, I guess, lock it down and be more serious, would you then post a photo and say like he's being hesitant on wanting to be committed?
That could
Are
be
we dating the same
that
guy?
could
Is that
be.
an appropriate way
I
to
feel
go
like
about it?
that would be maybe a way to do it. And it's one of those things that and I think we'll kind of get to that when we talk about maybe the cons of it. Is that then eroding the trust in a relationship by doing that? And this
Mm,
even the beginning of a relationship. The instances that I've known about it are a friend of mine who she was in the group and she had just broken up with her boyfriend and saw someone post a photo of her boyfriend of her ex and say, "Is anybody anybody dating this guy?" And someone was like, "Oh no, but I know I feel really bad because he had a great girlfriend who was amazing and he was cheating on her the entire time, blah blah blah." And she's sitting
wow.
here reading this and just like absolutely just destroyed. And then she's in the same group, and then she just started talking to this other guy recently and saw his photo pop up in the group. And someone she said, "I just matched with this guy, does he blah, blah blah." Now they hadn't been exclusive or talked about exclusivity, so it wasn't really a big deal, but nobody seemed to have anything negative to say about it. So she's like, "Well, at least that's a positive, like this, at least this guy doesn't have anything negative." So she hasn't actually posted, but she's been present when two people that she's talked, like an ex and this new guy, both have been brought up.
Would you want to know as like if you started dating someone early on, would you want to know?
If they were dating somebody.
I mean, if you were dating, say for example, I was dating someone casually for a month, we're not locked down yet, and I happen to post, "Hey, are we dating the same guy?" I don't know if I'd want to know.
I don't know. I think with so many stories of men being so shady and so many people being unfaithful and not even willing to commit, or saying they're going to commit when they really aren't, it might be worth knowing. And I think also with the risks of people being abusive and things like that, it might be worth it before you get too involved to say, are there some red flags I'm not seeing, or things that I have, has he been masking all these things I'm not going to know about till I take it too far? Should I keep getting invested in this person?
I guess where I'm getting at, because I don't think you're wrong. I guess where I'm getting at though is I have to, for me to want to have to post something in that Facebook group to figure out, I would have had to notice 10 red flags or so. Like if I would have seen red flags, I
Right.
would have just cut him off and not been
Right.
to the point of posting in the group. If I was ignoring things, like I'm sure shitty behaviors were shown before they got to the point of posting in that group, but they've just been ignoring it at that time. I don't know. Like for me, am I making sense? Like for me, I would have already seen those things, so I would have cut them off
Yeah, and I think that's an
and not gotten to the point
ideal
of
world. But
posting.
sometimes I think people are like, "Oh, but everything else seems so good, so maybe I should just check." Like they don't want to necessarily assume the worst, but they're just kind of double checking. And then sometimes it's a matter of you just match with somebody and you're like, before I even bother talking to this guy, what's going on? Like just before I even bother putting in the effort of trying to get to know this person, is there something I should know about? And then I think there's also people who are like married and their husband starts acting kind of weird, and and starts gaslighting them or starts making them feel insecure, and so they're like they put it up there just to kind of find out because they really don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
So it kind of
I don't know.
helps them.
Part of me, like straight up early on, like I just went on a first date with this guy. Are we dating someone else? I feel like that's way too premature. Like you haven't had a lot of conversations
Yeah.
to figure out, like, yeah, you might be dating a couple other people. I don't know. I guess it's like I don't always want to know. I want to learn from that other person so they can give me their side of the story, I guess. Like you're gonna run into shitty guys no matter what. If I'm posting, I don't know. It's like
No,
if
no,
I'm
no.
in, if
I think that's why we're doing this topic, is because we're trying to figure out, is this group a good thing or a bad thing? And I think that's important, is because there's some nuances to it here.
yeah, I mean, I think if you have been suspecting your partner of cheating and you've been with your partner for a decent amount of time and they're showing signs like things were good and then all of a sudden things have changed and you notice and feel a shift, then yeah, post that photo and ask, are we dating the same guy? If you're married in that situation. But I think like right from the get-go of like 1 or 2 dates and nothing's that serious yet, that's where I'm like, I don't know if you should post just yet. Maybe.
Well, here's the thing. So what if you post and someone says, yeah, I'm married to him?
I mean, yeah, it's like good
You
thing
know,
I posted,
well,
right?
good.
Yeah,
I'm glad
no,
I
that's
posted it.
fair.
Or oh yeah, he just got out of jail for assaulting his last girlfriend,
Oh, God.
or like something like
But am I
that.
supposed to do that with every single
Or
fucking guy that I go on a date with, though? Is like, put it in the group. If I
yeah,
went on a first date, put him in the group. I mean,
or
at what point?
he just gave me an STD and didn't and didn't disclose. Like, so
Ugh.
it might be
Is
one of
that the
those
new
things.
culture though? Like I would, I mean, yes, I'm not dating currently, but it's like if I was to be back out on the dating scene, is that the process I have to go through now after every single fucking date?
I think that it would really depend, because I feel like you at this point have a very good sense of, like, a good radar for things.
True.
And you can also do a lot of your own research and everything as well, and to
You could
find
look
out
up the
information.
arrest
Yeah,
records and things
you
like
can look
that, I
things
guess.
up,
Yeah.
and so you can do background checks, etc. And I think this is just maybe an additional thing that people can do who maybe aren't. There's a lot of, I mean, we find this out obviously just from doing this podcast, how many
Not as
men
seasoned.
and women, huh?
Like people aren't as seasoned with
Yeah, how
dating.
many men and
So
women just ignore red flags? Or we had someone who just posted in the Facebook group and was like, what do you do when they have several little red flaglets? And I was like, those are red flags. I was
that's
like,
not a thing.
yeah, that's not a
Flaglet's
thing.
not a
Yeah.
thing.
But we, it is that, like, sometimes people will be like, oh, well, and because they're like, they don't want to let go because everything else seems good, which usually is a sign that they're pretty, manipulative. If everything else seems so amazing, you're willing to overlook a red flag. And so this is maybe just a way to help them confirm a little bit that maybe they shouldn't do it too. I don't know. Like, I feel like if I went on a date with somebody, I'd be like, hey, put me in the group. I want to see what people are saying. Let me know what people say. Like, I want
That's
to
your
know.
ego talking right
It is
now,
my ego
though.
talking.
That's your
Absolutely.
ego.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, then I asked
Absolutely.
the question, is there a group like that about women?
No, because men don't care about if women are talking
That
to
sounds
their,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
they just want to be like, does she suck dick? Is that, like, it's basically
How
like
far can I get her
that
to go on a first
that would be
date?
the thing. Not, are we dating the same guy? Will she
Can I
suck my
fuck her?
dick on the first date? And that'll basically be the men's equivalent of it.
Yeah.
And because they don't care about the same type of things.
Ugh.
Or can I manipulate her or something like that? Like,
Yeah. How
basically, like,
easy is
yeah,
she?
how
Yeah, to
easy is she to
manipulate.
manipulate? Because they're very different situations. And I don't think that if there was a similar group that actually was similar, that men would be able to stick to the rules of not doxing and not giving her information, like, all of the things. I think that it would be danger. It would present a danger to women.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I don't think this group presents a danger to men. It prevents danger. And one thing that I saw was a study from last year that showed that 73% of women have experienced threats of sexual violence or sexual harassment or aggression from men on dating apps. 73%.
That checks out, though. That
Yeah.
seems,
I
yeah.
mean, but you think about, how people have been, it is 3 and 4 is 3 out of every 4 women have been, assaulted or harassed in some way. And there's even a study that says it's as high as 99% of women have been sexually harassed in some capacity. So it makes
Yeah.
sense. But it's just like, when there's something like that, then a group like this can be, if they can help with that, that's great. And the only men who are getting mad about it, I think, are the men who are shitty.
Yeah. I mean, I do think it's good to share stories and connect with other people, especially in your community, and figure out where you stand. I just I get, yeah, like it makes sense if you're not as self-aware or
Yeah.
confident enough to scan the bullshit out yourself and you need a little bit more guidance, but I would be cautious to using it as a crutch if you've been dating for a while. Like I feel like over time you should kind of learn, like after a first date you shouldn't have to feel like you need to rely on like on that group to post a photo if you've been dating for a while and you feel like you have a hand. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe.
I feel like
Yeah,
it helps more if you're like newer in dating and you've been dating someone for a minute and you're trying to get more guidance on things. Maybe that will help. Because
right.
I feel like more seasoned, the less you're likely to tolerate bullshit.
Yeah.
But my
Yeah.
opinion, but
No, I mean that's true. I would say that you know, you should do it if maybe if you are trying to just make sure before you waste any time with somebody, like if you're just if you feel good about it but you're just really worried about you've been burned so many times that you're just worried about this all of a sudden turning bad. Who did I just I just had a friend in Florida who was just telling me that she just this guy was really sweet and loving, and she just started dating him. They was like, so they started dating, and he was very nice and he's been great, and like and so they've been going out for just like a week and just decided just to actually date. And then last night she got a call from his girlfriend
mm,
and said that he's been talking to 23 other women
mm,
and told her that she should join the "Are We Dating the Same Guy" group, which
damn.
I thought was pretty funny. And the thing is, like, she was like, yeah, he wasn't always available. He didn't reply all the time, so I was a little worried, but I just like, whatever. And so maybe instead of whatever, you throw his picture up there, and you're like, oh no, this guy is just lying about everything. So I'm not going to waste my time with him anymore.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. Like if you're feeling like, is this an issue? Am I just being oversensitive about this, because I want this to work out, then maybe it's worth throwing it in the group and seeing. Like, for example, my immediate thought was going back to that guy, Michael, who love bombed the shit out of me.
Oh yeah, yeah, the one
I
who broke his leg.
Yeah. I mean, that was the point where I think I would have put him in the group at
Yeah,
that point. I wouldn't have done it early on because things felt fine. But when things were like, what the fuck is going on here? That makes sense for me to post something in the group and saying, is anyone else dating this guy? Things seem off. I think when things seem off, definitely post it in the group.
yeah, I can see that. And if you're not getting any answers, or like or they're either not responding or they're just like dodging the question, then maybe it's
Hmm.
time to try to do a little more research. And this is one way to do research. I think that's the other way to look at it too, is that this is one of many research tools available. This is a crowdsourced researching, and so you have to keep in mind that some people might be lying, some people might say things that aren't true, like, so not everybody's
Right.
going to be 100% truthful, but for the most part you're going to find out that whether your gut feeling is correct or not.
Well, what are your next steps after? So you put them in the Facebook group. A lot of women respond, yeah, he's a shitbag and did this and this and this. Do you just stop dating that guy immediately or do you have a conversation with him? I guess it depends on the severity of whatever was said.
Yeah, I guess it depends on that, and maybe the level of your relationship with the person at that point too. Maybe you text me, say, oh hey, so Holly says hi,
Oh, fuck, man.
just to see what they what they have to say about that and how they respond to it. And and you don't tell them where how you met her or whatever like that, just to see if they have any anything to say whatsoever. And it is the thing that you have to take it with a grain of salt. If someone says, oh well, he was shitty, he was a shitbag, he was just blah blah blah, well, was it just a bad relationship and they're upset about it, or is it some
Right.
actual behavior? Can they identify actual behavior that he did that was unacceptable? And I think the more people who come up and say things, then the easier it is to see that it's definitely him being the asshole, not one person being angry or bitter.
So if I was, for example, to post, say I posted a photo of Roy early on when we started dating and nothing
Yep.
came up, do I tell him, hey, I posted you in this Facebook group, or do I just, I feel like I would just say nothing and just go on and live my life. It feels like a dirty thing if nothing comes up and you're like, okay, I guess I'm good to go. And you keep dating that person.
I mean, if you did a background check and checked to make sure you'd never been arrested for assault or that blah blah blah, any of these things before you started really getting serious, would you tell them that?
See, I just don't. I guess because I don't typically do that, I'm not going to say. I don't do it, so I don't have anything to tell.
Yeah.
I guess not. I guess you just don't say anything and just keep going
You
out
don't,
with it.
or you can say, "Hey, good news, you passed your background check." And honestly, I
How they
almost feel like
respond to
if they
that will
respond to that,
determine.
yeah,
Yeah, you're
yeah.
right.
If they get shitty about that, then maybe that's a sign that maybe you're getting catching something that you didn't catch with your search.
Fuck, maybe you should do that.
So
Nothing came up. You're good to go. And they're like, "What the fuck?" Da, da, da. I'm like, actually, that was your
well,
final
there we
test,
go.
and you
All right,
failed. Yeah.
yes, exactly. Because I mean, I do think that because if someone told me that they would put me in that group, I wouldn't be offended by it. I was like, cool, you know. It would not be something that I would be upset about. It'd be like, good, do whatever you need to do to be safe.
Yeah.
And it's like
You want the drama. You're like, what'd they say about me? Anything good?
well, yeah, I would say that, yeah, basically. Well, it's funny. It's like when women tell men, hey, I don't want you to pick me up to take me to the date, or I'm not comfortable giving my number out yet, for safety reasons.
How they respond.
Men who are just like, that makes absolute sense. No worries. Your safety is, utmost concern. Or the men who get upset about, whoa, you think all men are bad, blah, blah,
I'm
blah.
doing a nice thing for you. How dare you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I posted your photo in the will she suck my dick group, and they said yes, so I don't understand.
I was lied to. All the men were wrong.
So I think that it's definitely it can be a telling thing, and I think that is even how they deal with being in the group can maybe tell you a lot about a person.
Okay, I'm warming up.
Even if you don't put their photo in there.
Yeah, I guess I'm warming up to the idea of it. I just, the first couple dates maybe not, but I think after that, yeah. And then the Richter test.
I would do it after the first couple of days if you decide, oh, this person is someone that I want to put a little more time into. At that point might be worth it. But the first date, the second date, that's when you're still even getting it to decide whether or not you care enough to even want to keep talking to him.
Yeah, if you don't give a shit about them, why are you posting a photo in the group? It's not going to change your decision on if you want to keep dating them, really, because you don't care.
Now, I did see when I was doing some research in this group and everything that
the group you can't get into, but okay,
I can't get to. I know that. There was this woman who's a sociologist. She was a sociologist at Tinder and Bumble, and she thinks the groups can do more harm than good. She said people could be seeking retribution or fabricating the whole story. There's no way to discern the truth. And she says this isn't the right place to air stories of abuse. Authorities. This isn't the right place to air stories of abuse. Authorities and people who can make real change need to be involved, such as reporting abuse directly to dating apps as a more constructive action. So,
look at the source. She worked at Tinder and Bumble. Of course, she's going to say that.
I know, but she used to work there, so I think maybe she'd have a little bit of integrity. But first of all, let's talk about the two issues of this. Number one, dating apps do not.
They don't give a fuck.
No.
They don't care.
They need men to use their app.
That's where they get their money from. Is the desperate men and shitty men.
So they do not take constructive action. I know more women who've been banned from dating apps than men, and it's
seriously.
Oh yeah, women who reject men, and then all of a sudden the men will gang up. There's whole subreddits where people share Tinder URLs, because you can share an actual Tinder URL and say
to get her profile banned.
This bitch wouldn't even respond to me, and so then they'll report her. Yeah. So that by the way, that's the equivalent of the Facebook group, is a bunch of incels on Reddit being mad that a woman wouldn't talk to them and then reporting her and getting her banned off the apps. And so I have I know more women that have been banned off dating apps than men. And of course I've been banned off.
You've been banned
multiple times, but that's because it's usually because of promoting dating kind of sucks and they get mad about that. Or I think women see dating kind of sucks and think that maybe I'm going to be like trying to like get shitty stories or something like that, and they worry about that.
Whatever. Yeah.
But although it has been now, like I feel like a year now, and I haven't been kicked out.
You haven't been that active on the apps. That's true. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, and maybe traveling around makes a difference too.
That's true.
So that's the number one thing that it calls her entire thing into being ridiculous and bullshit. But the second thing is this idea of false accusations, and there is this idea that men share primarily, and men whine about all the time, is false accusations in general, false accusations of assault, etc., false accusations of rape. That men are so worried about a false accusation, that they can't even say hi to a woman because they might get a false accusation. When you look at the reality of it, is that even women who have legitimate evidence to back up their accusations don't get heard. They don't get actual any justice. Women who have false accusations, time and time again, those get thrown out almost immediately. There's been a whole study on it that said almost immediately can tell if it was something where a woman was saying it out of fear because like she got caught cheating, so she said it was rape or something like that, or out of some type of like they're afraid of retribution from a parent, or related to drugs, or something like that, being under the influence. And they can tell almost immediately when it is one of those things, and it gets dismissed. Nobody pays attention to it. So there might be, yes, the accusation exists, and then it disappears into the ether, and nobody ever says anything. And then even if it makes it to the, there's been cases of where it has gone through every now and then, but on a statistical level, and
it's not significant.
Yes, and it's so exponentially statistical. This is the thing. Men are more likely to be sexually assaulted by another man than they are to have a false accusation against them on a statistical level.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay, but you could never bring that up to a man who doesn't believe. Yeah, you can't even bring that stat up. That's irrelevant to them.
Because I think it's something like 1 in 5 or 1 in 6 men will be sexually assaulted at some point in their life. And I think it's something like
1 in 4, 1 in 3
of accusations are false accusations.
Okay.
1%.
Okay.
And those are just the reported crimes. Whereas, and of course we all already know that it's something like 80% of sexual assault is never reported. So like that's when you say that 1% is probably closer to 0.01% once you actually look at all the numbers of cases of sexual assault. So you are much more likely to be the victim of sexual assault by another man than you are to ever have a false accusation. So the next time that anybody starts arguing that's the statistic to hit them with. But so this woman trying to say that, well, they might be, a false accusation, blah, 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 is it's hurtful to women in general. And I think it's a very terrible thing to say. It's also, the idea too, and this is something that I think a lot of men who cry about false accusation don't understand. It's not, sometimes women, it's not a false accusation. They were coerced, and then they walk it back because they feel guilty about being coerced, and so they feel like they shouldn't have gone along with it or something like that. So it's something it's a subtle thing, but it still was an actual assault. And so if a woman is saying that something happened to her, chances are something happened to her. Very, very statistical level, chances are something happened to her. And so it's better to listen than it is to try to say, well, false accusation might hurt people. No, how about the fucking assault hurts people? Like that, how about what allowing a guy to continue to perpetuate that hurts women more.
Right. And God forbid if women get together and talk about things. I mean, right. It's easier to keep women silenced if we're all siloed and just separated and in our own environments, because we have no idea that other women are experiencing the same thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's power in numbers, and they don't like the power that when women get together, we actually organize and are like smart and cohesive with our thoughts. And when men organize, what do? They get on Reddit threads and they try to block accounts. You know what I mean? Right. Like the two examples just right there. It's like, oh, we're actually trying to do something for the greater good and help other women and just be there, while men are just trying to keep these shitty behaviors going to get whatever self-gratifying thing at the end that's not actually good.
Big sweat. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, when I remember when I reached out to someone's boyfriend who and he was trying to get with me. I mean, I was like, am I in the wrong for doing this? But like, I want to help her no matter what decision she ends up making. I want to help her so she has all the knowledge up front, and then she can address the situation and do with it as she may. And whatever, but at least it's better to know than, I guess, not know and be in the dark the whole time thinking that he's so perfect and pure. I guess I hate using that word for men, but like so pure and never could do anything wrong ever.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. And I think that it's very telling that, that's what women are trying to do, is protect other women.
Yeah. And I don't think I don't think dating apps, like I said, dating apps don't do shit. I mean, you can, if a man says something shitty on the app to you or whatever, yes, you can report that. They might not get their profile taken down. Bumble might take a couple days or weeks to get back to you to update you with the status of something. And I'm not saying the dating apps aren't trying to make things better, but they can't control these shitbags.
No.
At the end of the day, there's more of them than there are of like the app makers and the moderators on there. So they're doing the best they can, but you have to take it into your own hands sometimes and say, what can I do to make the situation better for myself? And if that's a Facebook group connecting with other people, then so be it.
Yep, I agree. And I think that overall, like, I feel like the group like this has more positive benefits, than it does detriments. The occasional detriment is it might be, if can it hurt your relationship? Like if nothing's suspicious and nothing's wrong and you're still posting your spouse or your boyfriend in there, are you looking for trouble at that point? And so that,
are you paranoid?
Yeah.
Like, is it a you problem that you're trying to find something?
Is it bolstering your insecurity or a jealousy issue that you have? So it can probably exacerbate some negative traits that a woman might have in that situation as well. So that it might be a negative to it, but I think the benefits far outweigh it.
Yeah, I mean, the only other negative is just really believing every single comment you see. I think ask qualifying questions. Like you said, if they say, oh, that guy's a shitbag. Okay, well, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean by that? Let's take it offline. DM me. Like, let's talk more about it instead of just going, oh, well, I knew it just from one thing. It's like, figure out what the situation was before coming to that final verdict of he's not a person I want to date anymore.
It's like reading restaurant reviews on Yelp. Like
exactly. Yes,
it is. Like if you read the review and you're like, wow, this person seems like just, I don't know, like, and the review's giving you a weird feeling and everything else seems very reasonable. Everyone else's review seems very reasonable. Then it's like, okay, well, I'm going to take that with a grain of salt. Like maybe they just had a bad day. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. You want to listen to whatever women have to say. You want to understand that men treat women differently. So, I mean, one man can treat a different group of women differently. And so some women might have never had a bad experience with them, but you also have to look and say, okay, well, was their experience actually that way? Was this, or are they being objective, or is this subjectively something that happened that had, no bearing on the man's bad behavior, but it was something else instead. So you have to really, really weigh it.
I also think too, it's like you're the villain in everyone's story, like not everyone's storyline, but in someone's storyline, I'm the villain for somebody that I dated in the past because I was exhibiting shitty behaviors. I was not mentally ready to be dating. And I think that's, to give some people the benefit of the doubt, that might be the case with like, yeah, I dated him in the past, a couple years ago. It was awful, blah, blah, blah. But it's like some men can, not all, but some men can learn and change and grow and become better people. And, maybe someone says, he was a good guy, just didn't have a connection, the end. And then you can go on and continue to date that guy, I guess.
Right. Yeah, that's true. So I think that, the only people who should be worried about this group are people who are shitty, men who are shitty.
I mean, at the end of the day, the only people who should be worried in dating in general are men who are shitty, because it will always come out that they have done shitty things, have shitty behaviors, or just you're just toxic anything. Right. It will come out eventually, and then they'll play victim, and then they'll use whatever stat to back up their narrative, and you'll be smart and say that's bullshit, and then you'll kick them out of your life.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah. I mean, I think you've sold me more on it. I'm not against the groups. Actually, I'm kind of like wanting to join one now just to see what the tea is in the Seattle area.
Yeah.
Is Seattle dating as bad as Nashville dating was? I don't know. But it's a place where it's like if we all met at a restaurant or tea time with the girls and we just all talked about our husbands or whatever, it's like, how else am I going to get the information?
Yeah. Yeah. It might be interesting for you to do that. And you couldn't report anything specific back, but you could also chat about what you've seen in a general sense. But everything is supposed to stay confidential as well. But it would be interesting to hear what your thoughts were directly. Yeah, man, I can't be in a group, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was like man A didn't, no bad things on him. People just it could just be, it depends on the week or the city. Harmless, I don't know, nothing bad with him. 5-star review on this guy. Right. He's a nice guy, a good friend of mine, actually. You never know what you might find in there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's probably more shit stories than there are good ones, but
I would say that's probably true. It's probably why these groups are so popular right now, is because they're generally more shit stories than the positive ones, unfortunately.
yeah. Well,
Yeah, well, I think that's a good analysis of the group. I think that overall it's more positive than negative, and I think in a significant way, and that makes sense for the groups to exist. And I think that men, if you're listening to this and you're getting upset about the idea of it, you should maybe look at the mirror and wonder why.
yeah, I think you should be open to be like Adam or like Roy would be and be like, cool, what'd they say
I know.
about me?
Roy be like, yeah, exactly. Like, oh, what they say? Yeah, essentially.
We're like, oh, okay, cool. I didn't vibe. Not everyone's gonna have good things to say about you at the end of the
Oh
day.
yeah, yeah.
But
I sometimes get people who will be like, oh, I just came across your TikTok. We matched on Bumble once, and we chatted for a little bit, and then you just kind of disappeared, and I really felt that was rude, and I would like you to maybe try to do a little better and stuff like that. And I've had people actually say that to me sometimes, and I'm like, yeah, sometimes the conversation just even if it's interesting, I just sometimes get overwhelmed, and I just don't respond for a few days, and I apologize for that. It's just part of it was not any ill intent, but so yeah, everybody's gonna have everybody can have negative things to say about somebody.
mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I would say if you're interested in joining a group in your area, please do it and let us know. And that gives you a really good excuse to call our Dating Kinda Sucks hotline at 407-519-0181. You like that plug? I actually would like to have a hotline question next episode from a group of like, I joined it, I agree with you guys, or no, you're wrong, or I don't know.
Yeah, or I like to hear that too. And if you don't want to join that group, you can join our group on Facebook, which is we talk about all type of people get advice, they share dating profiles, they whatever they're all just look for some input, sometimes look for some support, a safe space, and that's facebook.com/groups/DKS podcast.
We don't have that many rules. I mean, we have rules in our group, but I don't feel like they're as strict if you were to post something about I'm dating this guy.
No, not at all. No, they're very flexible, especially for women. Men, you get one strike and you're out.
Yeah. Well, if you
I throw the ban hammer heavy.
Oh no, because I see your updates of attention group. Here's an announcement of updates and don't do this
anymore. I have to be like, don't do this, or keep this in mind. Yeah, but no, it's a very good group, and I'm we've got 2,500 people in there now, and growing. It keeps growing every day.
Yeah. Well, if you don't feel comfortable joining our Facebook group for whatever reason, you can always email us at datingkindasuckspodcast@gmail.com with any questions you might have. If you want something aired out, anything, you email us. We can do that as well. Or you could DM us on our Instagram at datingkindasucks. We do get a decent amount of Instagrams with dating advice and just comments and feedback there as well.
Mm-hmm. And if you're listening to this, you should watch it as well. Try our youtube.com/datingkindasucks. And or try watching us on TikTok at Adam Heath or at Simply Sarah G_.
And then, of course, for as little as $5 a month, after every episode or most episodes, we record a special Patreon episode for our patrons. You can join for as little, like I said, as little as $5 a month at patreon.com/DKS podcast.
And then finally, if you're listening to this on iTunes, please leave us a 5-star rating and review. We're always looking for more of those. By the way, the other day I saw someone's podcast. They've been doing it for 7 years and they had 5 reviews. And I felt so bad for them. I was just like, 5 reviews? Like, how does that? Because I feel bad that we don't have 1,000 reviews.
We should be at 500 at this point with the amount of listeners we have.
I know we should. So that's why if you're listening on iTunes, please go leave us a 5-star rating and review, because reviews do help. They help with everything. They help grow the podcast. They help show that we have an engaged listenership. And if you're on Spotify listening to this, you can also give us a thumbs up, and I think you can even write a review now. I think I might have added that as a possibility, but
definitely on the app. I don't think you can do it on desktop. Do it on the app.
Who uses Spotify on their desktop?
I do when I'm working.
All right. Only
okay. Always me with the roast there. Okay.
Only Boomer Sarah. I listen to the music on my laptop.
Hater. Okay. Well, anything else? Let's leave.
All right. Well, I think that's everything. We've got everything taken care of. We'll be back in 2 weeks with a brand new episode. And so thank you for listening.
Until next time.
Whether you're married Married or single or poly or hate, or hanging out with swingers back at your place. Listen to us as we give no fuck on Tinder and Bumble and plenty of yuck. Trying and having no luck, because we all know dating kinda sucks. Sarah and Adam are two of a kind. He says stupid shit and she doesn't mind. They're not doing this show to make any buck. Life as a chicken whose feathers they pluck. Why does it work? Well, here is the crux. They both know dating kinda sucks. Dating kinda sucks.